Hi again, welcome to the Richard and Judy Book Club exclusive to W.H. Smith. And the next book on our list is this one. It's called The End of Everything by Megan Abbott. It's a fascinating story, and anyone who remembers being 13 will strike a huge chord of resonance with you. Two 13-year-old girls in the 1980s living in a dusty, suburban, Midwestern town in America are best friends. They've known each other since birth, basically. They go to school together, they know everything, but they even live next door to each other. They know each other's parents. And then one day, one of them, Evie she's called, disappears. She just disappears from home. Nobody knows what's happened to her, except her best friend, Lizzie, has a vague suspicion. The last time she saw her was just outside school, after they'd finished school, and Lizzie was meeting her mother to go shopping in their car, but Evie said she didn't want a lift, and Lizzie saw a maroon sedan just kind of cruising past a couple of times and thought it was a bit strange, but didn't quite get it. But Evie wanted to stay there, and that's the day she disappeared. Now, when she disappears, the adults go mad, obviously. Her parents are absolutely grief-stricken. They think she's been abducted by a pervert, and they're desperate to try and find her. And Lizzie, her friend, is kind of drawn into it all because she's the person who knew her best. It's an extraordinary novel because it's about adolescent sexuality, basically. How do 13-year-old girls really feel about relationships, sex, their parents? It turns out that Evie is not at all what she seemed. Turns out that Evie actually knows exactly what she's doing. And it turns out that her parents, particularly her father, had indulged in a not inappropriate, but perhaps uncomfortably close relationship with his two daughters. Her elder sister, Dusty, who is very glamorous, very beautiful, and Evie feels very much in her shadow. So what's happened to Evie, and how much are her parents implicated, and how much does Lizzie know? That's really what it's all about. It's brilliantly written, very evocative. Unfortunately, Megan Abbott, the writer, couldn't be here with us today. She's in America, so we asked her some questions over there.
If I had a 13-year-old daughter, I would be very wary in general of her whereabouts, particularly now. I think one of the dangers for 13-year-old girls is we don't like to believe that they experience desires, so we kind of shut that out about them, but of course that makes them so much more vulnerable to the world. And remembering myself at 13, I think if I had a 13-year-old daughter, I would want to keep her locked up in the house at all times. As an adolescent, I was definitely as awkward and uncomfortable as all adolescents were, but intensely curious, which I think is one of the dangers of that age. I so much wanted to experience the world and the great unknown, and yet I was completely unprepared for the consequences of that. So that sort of tension at that age was one of the inspirations in the book, wanting to see more but really not being ready for it. I think that Evie will be okay. I think that she's probably the most self-aware character in the book and the strongest, not just because she survives what she survives, but she seems to be have a sort of deeper knowledge of herself than any of the other characters, and I think that that's the kind of survival skill that will serve her well in life. She's sort of been to the dark places and returned, and I think she brings that knowledge back.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Megan, and I'm very sorry that we didn't get a chance to meet you personally, but that was really interesting. Thank you. And if you want to find out more about the book, The End of Everything, about Megan, about all the other books in the Richard and Judy Book Club with W.H. Smith, you simply go to the website, which is whsmith.co.uk/Richard and Judy.